Welcome, everyone, to the Bear Watch Project, a podcast where two gay bears discuss everything and anything movies and TV. My name is Garrett. I like movies.
And my name is Oscar, and I love television. In this week's episode, we will be discussing episode 7 of Agatha All Along. But first, what have you been watching, Garrett?
I have started Traitors Canada Season 2. It has been a very, very good time. I'm 4 episodes in of 5 or 6 now. It's been fantastic. Melinda Varga from Canada's Drag Race, the most recent season, is on this season of Traitors Canada, and she is amazing television. And the cast is so hot. Like, there are some. All the men are very attractive. I'm just gonna say that.
Is this on Peacock able to watch?
No, they took it off. Like, they took even the first season off Peacock. Outside of that, just like Abbott Elementary, the new episode, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that you got to see a much tender side of Melissa. Is that her name? I don't know.
Yes. Was this the episode with the pets and the computers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was funny. Yeah, it was nice.
It was cute. I felt very emotional. I don't like that the show kind of just like lets these characters do wrong things, and then there's never really like, I don't know. She got judged, but there wasn't like a comeuppance or anything for like what she did to the children.
That was a big deal. Like,
That was kind of
how? You know what? I wish we would have seen like a bigger fallout from the students. Like they were disheveled and like,
mm-hmm.
because
Like
sometimes
her
kids
really,
can, yeah.
yeah, like her have to really like, am I doing the right thing? Like not have to force to be do the right thing, but like her notice that her kids are like really bummed out and depressed over their class pet being gone.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for next week's. It's the Halloween episode, and Janine and Gregory are dressed up as the mosquito that's stuck in the amber, and then Gregory's doing Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I
And
saw that. That was like, it was very them.
I'm excited.
So
It's
dumb.
my favorite movie, so I love that they're doing it. And then I've just been watching movies. I watched Longlegs for the first time yesterday. That was really good.
How was that? I have not seen that. They
It
do want
put
to.
me it put me on like such an uneasy playing field because it is like a police procedural, but it's
Mm.
also kind of graphic, and I just felt like uncomfortable the whole movie. I think it took a direction I wasn't really anticipating, and like how personal this whole crime saga is that's happening.
Mhm.
Um, but I liked it. I think it's just a little overrated in how scary it is because it's just thrilling. But I liked it. Um, and I really just been watching normal everyday movies. What have you been watching?
I what did I watch? I continued my watch of Daryl Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Abbott. What else did I see? I saw one queer film, which I really loved, from
Mm-hmm.
a director whose movies I really, really like, Marco Berger. He does this thing where he doesn't really move the camera too much, so he
Mm-hmm.
leaves you in the intensity with the characters for like way too long. Which I think creates like such an intimate kind of scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like his movies, and I just saw one of his movies. Other than that,
What was the movie?
the name. I'm like, wait, what was the name of the movie? The Astronaut Lovers. The Astronaut Lovers.
Okay, what's the
Yes.
premise?
The premise is, so he does these movies where like it like people go on vacation, like a group of friends goes on vacation and like they're just chilling and they're like, just hanging out in their house. But then there's always some sort of sexual tension or
Mhm.
like, yeah, there's always some sort of sexual tension between male characters. In this one, it's two guys who have not seen each other since they were kids. They were kind of not friends, but they knew each other.
Mhm.
But they get together with like two other couples in like a beach house, and these two guys create this friendship, and they develop lies because one of the guys is gay, one of them is straight, but they're very very flirty with each other, to the point where they create a lie or they're actually dating, and that's what they tell the other house people. um but it's a lie.
Mhm.
um but it's very much like, does the straight guy really like what he's doing? It's just very sexually charged in a
Where
very toned down kind of way.
Mhm. Does it get
um
hot? Like, does it get steamy or no?
it's not like very graphic, but it does get steamy. Like I said, the director loves leaving the viewers in this kind of tension,
Mhm.
so it gets hot in that way. Like, the entire movie is like, will they, won't they, and when it happens, I feel like there's payoff for the audience, so
That's good. I
it's
wanted
a good
to
watch.
ask,
Mhm.
like, on a queer movie space, did you ever watch Bros?
I did, yes.
What did you think about it?
um I am not a big fan of Billy Eichner, and his characterizations, so it was already going into it, I was already a bit weary. The premise is not bad, but my opinion is that it is definitely a movie that is made not for the gay eye. It's meant
Yes.
for, it feels like a movie that's made for straight people.
Mhm. I agree. It's very cliche in, like, the romantic
Mhm.
comedy sense.
Oh yeah.
Um, I wish, being that it was, like, marketed as, like, the first big budget queer romantic comedy movie, I kinda wish it was not just 2 white people
Yeah.
as the leads. I wanted them to go somewhere more diverse, and you get diverse characters in, like, like, the rest of the cast,
Hmm.
but it just led to very stale, um, perspectives of the characters.
It's funny. The other day, I was watching one of my favorite streamers, who's also a friend, who and randomly asked, like, if somebody was playing you in a movie, who would it be, right?
Mhm.
And I picked an actor who is from What We Do in the Shadows. I picked Harvey Guillen, and I realized that I look nothing like Harvey Guillen.
You don't.
But I said, I would love, more so for the fact that I would love a movie about a gay chubby Latino.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I've been wanting that kind of rom com movie centered around somebody who looks like Harvey Guillen, because he's really
Harvey
cute, and
Guillen?
I'm like,
Yeah.
I just want that movie. Not a movie about myself, because I know I look nothing like it, but
Mhm.
I just want that kind of, that representation. But like, he's cute. I want to see that in a rom com.
Harvey Guillen's very hot. Like, he'll post pictures of himself in a pool. I'm like, I want more. Please give me more. And it's crazy
Yeah.
how long, like, I've been watching Harvey Guillen. Did you watch that Victoria Justice? I think it was MTV that made it, but it was like her sister gets kidnapped, and then the kidnapper is like trying to get her, and like Harvey Guillen is playing like the guy in the chair.
No.
I forget what it's called. Oh my gosh, I have to make it Google. But it got like one season. It was not good, I want to say.
Mhm.
Eye Candy, that's what it was called. Yeah, Harvey Guillen's just wearing this little blue flannel. It was 9 years ago this show came out. But yes, please and thank you to Harvey Guillen. Harvey Guillen should be up for People's Sexiest Men Alive.
I agree. He's
That needs to come out. We should dedicate a whole episode to discussing that list.
mhm.
For sure.
I also was going to watch the Drag Race All-Star finale, and then it got
Mm-hmm.
spoiled of who won, and now I have no interest to finish it. Not
I
because I disagree or have any real opinion on the winner. I was just like,
mm-hmm.
okay, cool. I know who won. That's enough for me, I guess.
Yeah, competition reality shows are hard to want to keep watching when you know the winners of the season. Like I want to go rewatch old or watch older seasons of Drag Race, but if I know who the winner is,
Mhm.
I'm not going to feel like the tension or anything.
Well, for like season 2 of Drag Race Mexico, I already knew who won before I started the season,
Mm-hmm.
and I still wanted to watch it just because I really liked just the different dynamic in Drag Race Mexico, and I'm like,
Yeah,
ooh, I get the reference, you know.
I totally
So,
get it. I just wish it was better produced. Global All Stars. Do you think we're going to get a second season?
not for some time, but
I agree.
hopefully, and you know what, I want more international um not guest judges, the
Main judges.
main judges.
Like
Yes.
I don't even think Michelle should be there. Like I think Rue should be the only like American person there. Um I don't want any of like the Aussie or UK like maybe as like guest judges. Um but
Yeah, I mean, we need more international judges just for it to feel a lot more like even playing field, because this season felt very much geared for the English speaking queens.
mhm. Like if you get RuPaul, if you get oh who's Drag Race Philippines host? That was in UK versus the World one.
Pangina.
Pangina. And then you get Canada's Drag Race host. Like if you get people that actually do drag,
Mm-hmm.
they should be
Mm-hmm.
like the main hosts. Like the main hosts of other franchises should be the judges of like Global All Stars, I think.
Yeah, I think you should have at least 3 international drag queens who sit on the panel
Mm-hmm.
consistently.
I
Not like
agree.
guest judges, because like guest judges, they're there to give like, an opinion that sometimes they don't really pay attention to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And just bias, yes.
Well, let's get into episode 7 of Agatha All Along.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it. What did you think about it?
Not to like overhype it or anything, but I think this was the best episode of an MCU project I've seen in a long time.
Yes.
I loved this episode.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And it was unexpected for me, I think. But
It was what I wanted to see is what happened, but the delivery of it and how non-linear they decided to tell this story in a linear fashion.
mhm.
Very Christopher Nolan, which is what I love. Um, I could very clearly see like what they were going for, and it was really enjoyable. Patti LuPone gives an amazing performance. I will say though,
Hmm.
I think it's the writing, and Patti LuPone is still amazing, but I don't think it's Emmy worthy. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you because I think the writing is Emmy worthy, and I think the performance is Emmy worthy. I think that when I first heard that Patti LuPone had been cast in this, I was like, she's so big for this. Why is she doing this? And
Mm-hmm.
the writing and this episode proved why they needed Patti LuPone for these written scenes,
Yeah.
because she elevated already good writing to the next level.
Yeah, I would say there were like moments when she's like pleading, like when she keeps saying like stop, stop, stop over again. Like that was like
Yeah.
really amazing by her. Like Emmy nominated, yes. Is it something the best supporting actress that I've seen all year? I can't really say for sure. Um, but not nominated at least. I don't know. It's
I
hard
mean,
to say.
Emmys are won in one scene, and I think this is Emmy worthy winner television.
Yes, yes and no. I think it's the end result as a whole completely deserves Emmy. I think
Hmm.
the acting is great, the editing is amazing, especially when the tarot card reading scene at the end of the episode is happening.
Hmm.
Um
Yeah.
like I think it
Yeah.
all just was a perfect production, and like 10 out of 10 end result, everything gets awards. Um Whether or not they'll go for that is hard to say. I don't like
Yeah.
that people were saying online though that is Marvel Studios finally gonna get its first big time award, and I'm like,
They've been getting
Black
awards.
Panther won an award.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have an Oscar. Get out. Like the hate. Like I know people. Maybe they don't view like an original score to be like as big of an award as like an acting performance or
Yeah.
something. But like every movie has a score in it. Um, and Black Panthers. I keep wanting to say Wakanda Forever, but it was Black Panther that won it. Well deserved. Ludwig Göransson is so good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, let's get into the episode.
Let's do it.
So we'll recap in 4 different parts, and we'll pause to discuss.
Hmm.
Agatha All Along, Episode 7, Death's Hand in Mine. The episode begins with Lilia falling. Then, Billy and Agatha continue down the road. Agatha tells Billy just to ask her his questions instead of trying to read her mind. Billy asks her where Rio is, and Agatha refuses to answer that question. Any other questions? Asks Agatha as she insinuates that the reason he came along for the ride with her is because she was his mom's ex-best friend. To which Billy bites back with, "She's not my mom, I have a mom." He does ask, though, is Wanda Maximoff really dead? To which Agatha replies, yes, no, maybe. Did she see a body? Yes. Did anyone else? It's hard to say. Hey, if you want straight answers, ask a straight lady. Just then they stumble onto a castle, the next trial. Billy is angry at Agatha, stating that he really thought that her experience would be the key to their success on the road, to which Agatha notes that them being alive is a success, to which Billy quips, now I wonder if you've ever been on the road at all. As they enter the trial, they are transformed into classic pop culture witches. Agatha is the Wicked Witch of the West, who apparently Agatha says was based on her, and Billy is dressed as every gay boy's dream, Maleficent. The trial is tarot. Your path winds out of time is written on the divinity table, and they decide to read each other's fortune. Billy begins, and it is apparent that he is shy of being an expert as the trial shoots a sword down at them. They look up, and are shocked that the ceiling is covered in swords. Agatha, annoyed, says that this is a con and there is no skill to tarot and just chooses cards at random, thinking they will eventually have to get one right as the swords continue to shoot down at them. Until the situation turns more dire, with the ceiling beginning to lower down on them.
I think I like this beginning of the episode a lot. I think it sets up how the characters are feeling after last episode. I think there is a very playful way that Catherine Hahn and Joe Locke are performing together, in that, like you said, quips in your recap, but it's more of like a cut that
Yeah.
he doesn't think that Agatha has been on the road before,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is true. Um, I don't think she's been on the road before. Like, the
Mm.
show is really hindering what they're telling us about Agatha's past, and either in, I think, episode 8, we're gonna get the Salem past with Rio and Agatha, so we're actually gonna like fully know what happened. Um, but I liked them a lot. I love Joe Locke's joke of if the cheekbones fit for like
Mm-hmm.
being Maleficent. It was really adorable, and I think, I don't know. I just had a really good time at the beginning of this episode. What about you?
Yeah, I think my favorite part of this intro sequence was um the Wanda Maximoff, is she really dead and she's not my mom bit. More so because we've been discussing, William Kaplan died, Billy Maximoff is now in William Kaplan's body, but is he the kid that we got to know in WandaVision? Like, what's the situation here, right? I think that line really tells us a lot about his character. He doesn't necessarily feel that he is Billy Maximoff. Um, so that kind of confusion, I liked it. I like that we don't we don't have a straight answer to who
Mm-hmm.
he is.
We don't get one either. There is an attempt to find one,
Hmm.
but it is not the direction that we should be going. So I
Yeah,
like that it's still unanswered for him. Like, he just got who he is and what he's looking for, which we already knew. So there wasn't like any new information learned about that. Um, a production thing that I liked learning is that the sword ceiling and the swords falling was all done practically. So before any actors were on
mhm,
set, they have all the swords on like wires and had to like figure out which sword they were using when, way before like anyone got on set, just for like safety reasons. But I think that was like really
right.
cool at how much they're willing to do practical things for the
Yeah,
show.
I love the room from a production standpoint. I love the
Hmm.
set design of the room. I mean, set design has already been like a big thing for me in this show. Um, I
Except for
love the
episode 4.
table. Yeah, except for episode 4, sorry. Yeah, I love the table. I don't know why. I just love the table. The room was awesome too.
Are you a tarot person? Did you like get what the table was when it showed up? Like, is that a normal tarot thing?
I am not a tarot person. I don't know anything. I've never had my cards read, but now I'm like curious.
Hmm.
Um, no, I didn't know that. I don't know if that's a real thing, if that's how the cards are laid out. Um, yeah, I
Hmm.
just really like the inscriptions. I like the layout. Um, I just really like that table. I want that table.
It's a. I bet you could get it.
I'm
I
sure I could
would.
get it.
Yeah, you would auction for it when the show's
Oh
done.
my god, can you imagine that auction?
All your
So,
money.
yeah, I don't know if she's been on the road at all. We've definitely theorized that before. Uh,
Hmm.
I like that he called her out on it.
I also don't buy anything Agatha said about Wanda. I don't buy. Like, how do we know she's actually dead? The body that we saw was in a fantasy
Mhm.
under like Wanda's spell. So, like, what does that mean? Like,
I think that it's all magic based. I think she can theorize that Wanda is dead because of the things she saw in the vision, right? But she doesn't give a straight answer. She's not a straight lady, so she doesn't give a straight answer.
I
I mean, because she doesn't
know.
actually know. And I like
Well,
the way the response was. Is she dead? Yes, she is. No, not really. Does anybody see a body? Like, I think that explains that she might have felt some sort of magic, you know, pool or whatever to let her know that Wanda was dead, but does she really
I
know for
think
sure?
you
No.
gotta show me that. And,
No, I
and
agree. You have to show it, but I think when it comes to the character thinking that that Wanda might be dead, I think she's in the right, and I think it was explained in an okay way.
I still want to know how the world knows that Wanda's dead. Like, for me to like buy
Yeah,
anything any character has to say on it, I think Rio is the only person I would um buy anything she says if she says something about Wanda.
I don't think so because, uh, yeah, we know who Rio is by the end of this episode, but I don't think she's a very trustworthy character, even knowing that. So, could we take her word for it? I don't
I
think
think
so.
she's chaotic, but I think she cares about her job. I think if she collects a body, she's not gonna lie about that body being collected.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
April Ludgate likes her work. What can I say?
Oh, what did you think about their outfits? You already mentioned the cheekbones. Um, yeah, what
I
did you think about
mean,
the outfits?
they were Spirit Halloween costumes. Like
They were,
Joe Locke's wasn't impressive. Like it gave Maleficent, but it wasn't like, oh my god, this is like a really good
yeah.
cosplay of Maleficent. And then I don't like Agatha's green.
There was something was up with it, right?
It was a really weird shade. I don't know if it was just the lighting of the room. Um, I felt like her cheeks were brighter or something. Like it just might have been
Yeah,
like the reflection on the light, but I didn't really. And she wasn't on screen in it for very much because it sort of becomes not Agatha's show. Um,
right.
so Agatha kind of takes a backseat the rest of the episode. Um, it was okay.
Yeah, I like the pop culture reference switches.
hmm
But yeah, the outfits weren't like, show stopping.
Yeah, we can get into it later, but I think was
Mhm.
honestly the best costume.
Mhm.
hmm
Well, let's get into the next part. We jump to Lilia and Jen recovering from their fall in the mud, now waking up under the tunnels of the road. Lilia, coming into lucidity, asks Jen what's going on as Jen tells her that they are following her lead, looking for shelving, to which they are both confused about. Lilia remembers that Teen kicked them off the road, to which Jen replies, the son of the Scarlet Witch kicked us off the road. How does Jen know? Lilia told her. Jen says they recently had a heart to heart, much to Lilia's shock. You said this might happen, but you're being extra wispy. Kooky? We see a flashback from episode 4 where Lilia asks Alice, which is it? Am I whiskey or am I kooky? Revealing that at the time she wasn't actually talking to Alice but responding to Jen in the present or the future, depending on how you see things. Lilia realizes this and reveals the rest of the flashbacks in different time periods as she tries to warn Alice not to save Agatha. It is then revealed that she jumps into her younger self as she is doing her first lesson with her maestra. The maestra, recognizing this, urges her to really see things as Lilia expresses that she was not good at tea leaves. The scene jumps to the heart to heart that Jen had mentioned. Their heart to heart, Lilia lashed out, thinking that Jen only saw her as a batty old bartering broad. To which Jen replies, "Tell me what more I should see when I look at you." However, this is not a jab from Jen. She really wants to know, mentioning the gaps in time that Lilia has mentioned. The flow of time is an illusion. Most people don't realize that. She explains that when she was a child, she experienced her life out of sequence, with flashes and gaps. And now it's happening again, getting worse this time, to which Lilia thinks is due to her being at the end. Time then jumps to Lilia waking up in the trial dressed as Glinda the Good Witch with Agatha on top of her. All right, we get a lot of Jen and Lilia in
Mm-hmm.
this next sequence.
Underrated because Patti LuPone's performance just outshines everyone, but Sashir Zameda is so good as Jen in this
Hmm.
episode. Like,
Yeah,
you see such a caring and understanding side of her. Like, she genuinely likes Lilia and wants Lilia to be okay. And I just found, like, that performance and the writing for Jen really outstanding.
I agree because she's still very caring, but she doesn't lose her kind of Jenisms. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the facial expressions
Yeah,
that Sashir does.
her
Yeah.
charisma, uniqueness, and her talent is still there.
Yeah. Um I like that we when we first see them and they're looking for the shelving, we're just as confused as we should be,
Mm-hmm.
because the pieces aren't together yet. So we're like, wait, what? Did I miss something? Did I miss a scene? Like, and it's kind of disorienting in a very good way
Mm-hmm.
because eventually there's a payoff.
Yeah, you're at the same point where Lilia is in what she is understanding that happens. So, like, every other character has more information that's going on,
Mhm.
but she is the one that's having to, like, piece her life and it together. And I think that was really fun and a good,
Yeah.
like, mystery for, like, a single episode.
The scene did well to establish the relationship between Jen and Lilia as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we're not sure what's going on. Jen is looking at her so confused, and
It was nice to see more of
yeah,
Alice. Even though it's just old footage of Alice, just give me more Alice. I hope she
yeah,
comes back. I have a feeling like everyone survives. Um, I don't know yet though.
maybe that's the ultimate gift,
Yeah, I think
the ultimate
Agatha might
prize.
sacrifice herself for everyone. If we're gonna
Yeah.
theorize for a quick second, I just want Alice to come back. Alice doesn't deserve to
Speaking
die.
of Alice, we see those flashbacks, which I'm not sure if you also theorize, but maybe a lot of people theorize that we were going to see those moments come back when Lilia shouts, "My wispy or my cookie?" And when she yells at Alice to not try to save Agatha.
Yeah. I was expecting it to happen. Like, if
Yeah,
the show did not touch on those things, I would have been like, okay, why bring them up in the first place? So the fact that they dedicated an entire episode to that
yeah.
and making it work for the story, like, it just shows that they knew what they were doing from the very beginning with the writing of the show, and
And
that Jack Schaefer really knows what she's doing.
the way they were laid out too, it was pretty amazing. I mean, the way they were delivered to the audience.
Yeah, I think the only one mistake they made was when Lilia was saying, like, "Oh, we started, like, not hating each other, but now I love you guys," like, in the
Yeah,
context of the episode.
that
That
one that
Yeah.
one was like that one felt weird to me.
Mhm.
It's just like that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, that
Um
didn't need to be included in the episode.
okay, I really like the line, "The flow of time is an illusion." Most people don't realize that.
Yeah, because time is a construct, anyways.
I really like it for what it means for Lilia's character,
Mm-hmm.
because this is the first moment where she is truly explaining what is going on with her without us visually being in the know. We already kind of get a sense of it
Mm-hmm.
with the kind of flashbacks, the in and out that she's experiencing. But this is the first time, and the emotion from Patti LuPone as she delivers that line really gives us a sense that this is something that she's been struggling with, right? This flow of time thing. I just love the way she says that line too.
I like it. She did a really good job. I was kind of wondering,
Mm-hmm.
not to just change the subject in general, but I was kind of wondering if what's been happening in the MCU um is affecting why Lilia is traveling back in time in her mind again. I don't know, because I was wondering like what this power for her means in the multiverse in general. Like, did spoilers for Loki season 2? Did Loki
Mm-hmm.
making the Tree of Life cause this to happen?
So I try to not look at like TikTok video spoilers before we record this so that my opinions aren't muddled.
Mm-hmm.
But I did see something, I don't know where, and it wasn't a very like long thing. I just saw somewhere that said, when they're walking in the tunnels and we see kind of the yellowing roots,
Mm-hmm.
some people kind of put Tree of Life, Loki kind of connotation to it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past the MCU to somehow make that connection. I don't think we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
ever really get an answer.
I think there's going to be the final destination at the end of the road will have like I don't want to say a tree, but some sort of structure that will have all of those like roots going out into it, and that's how like the road's magic is. Like I think that's
Mhm.
why those are there more than
Hmm,
anything else.
interesting.
Like I think that's how the road is able to work. Unless they just needed something for dynamic lighting and that's just set dressing and it doesn't really mean anything at all.
Right. Could
But
be.
I don't think they're lazy to do that on the show. I
Yeah.
do I have another issue. I think it comes up in later in the episode though, but when it shows that they fell down after all the slime and there's just this like hole in the ground surrounded
Hmm.
by grass and it wasn't like where they fell in the goo, I was like, what happened?
It's a magical hole that they fell through.
Mm, I need a magical hole.
I like
You're
that
welcome.
Lilia explains that, she goes into full explanation after that her life, she experienced her life out of sequence with
Hmm.
flashes and gaps. And that line of she experienced her life out of sequence really is what drives the entire episode. What even explains how we're going to experience the editing. It sets up a lot, I think. And it really gives us that sense of we're getting to know Lilia a lot
Hmm.
better.
I wonder if because the episode is so short, I really wonder if they could have added a couple more minutes of just showing what Lilia was going through as a child. Because I think
Hmm.
like her as an adult, we're seeing like a very different perspective of like she's just really tired of it. She's at her breaking point with it, and it would have been fun to see how exactly it was happening as a child and what she was seeing as a kid. Because I don't think the Maestro stuff is her flashing back to that time. I think that's just her going somewhere into her mind, into her memory. I don't think that's her traveling in time. that way.
I think it's her traveling. I don't
I
think
don't
that's her mind.
know.
I really think that's traveling.
Maybe.
Especially because of the line, I experienced my life out of sequence. So she got to experience those moments back in time where the child was not aware of it, right? So Lilia didn't
Yes.
know that she was doing that at that time.
Yeah, but she didn't specify like to what extent she was experiencing her
Well, because
life at a
I don't
time.
think she knew. I don't think she knew, when she's a child. I don't think she, I don't think Lilia child saw what Lilia adult saw when she traveled to her past self, right? So she wouldn't be aware. She would just know that there was gaps, right? Until she started getting older and maybe experienced other similar kind of cross time,
Hmm.
stuff. But I do think that's not like a mindscape.
Give me a book. Life and Times of Lilia.
I mean, Lilia all along. I mean, next the next iteration.
I think a book would be fun. A book, a choose your own adventure Lilia book. So
Imagine.
like you're jumping in time like her brain was.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
into it.
I can see it. Um, what do you think of Agatha being on top of Lilia as the Wicked Witch of the West when she comes to in the trial?
I think Elphaba would be really upset she didn't get to tackle Kalinda like that. I don't know. I think it's fun. I like the reveal later of like why that happened.
Hmm.
Um, I do think it's a really fun point to jump into because it's like it
Yeah.
sets up like a small mystery of like, oh, why did that happen? Um, did you say what Jen's costume was, or is that in the next
Hmm.
bit?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay.
Okay. Lilia, now lucid in the trial, angrily comes at Billy. Billy starts to explain that he is sorry for lashing out at them. You didn't deserve to. I wasn't hiding my power from you. I didn't know that I could. I'm not lying to you. If I would have known, I would have used it to save Alice. Lilia realizes that he is reading her mind, revealing also that she remembers him from his bar mitzvah. Jen, dressed as the old hag, also known as the evil queen, calms her down, telling her they've moved past it and Lilia was not mad at the kid anymore. What are you wearing? She asks Jen. I don't want to talk about it. Billy asks Lilia about the sigil, and she explains that she had seen what would happen to him, to what he would become, and noticed that he would need time. The room throws more swords at them. Lilia, seeing the urgency, jumps back into her head, revealing more flashbacks and landing back with her maestra. Are you rooted in nature? Do you nimble with your craft? Have you a coven? Asks the teacher. Lilia scoffs as her maestra says that a witch needs a coven, to which Lilia replies, why? It didn't work out the first time. It's better to be a hermit to be a fraud. Her teacher recognizes this as fear. Lilia pleads to her that she just wants to be able to control what's happening to her. Your task is not to control, but to see. Lilia then jumps again to another conversation with Jen as they are looking for shelving, quickly mentioning that the reason why it all went away when she was younger is because she wanted it to, because all she saw was death. Just then, they hear Agatha and Billy arguing and spot the shelving they've been looking for. They stumble into the divinity trial room. Lilia looking at Billy, saying, relax, baby, we're cool. Lilia sees the urgency of the trial and exclaims, my task is to see, asking who is the querent. Billy answers, you mean the subject? Me, I guess. I'm the queer ent. Which makes Agatha and the rest react awkwardly. Lilia urges Billy to ask a question. Am I William or am I Billy? Lilia reveals the board and the meaning of the safe passage spread. The first card is you, the traveler. Next comes what's missing, the reason for the quest. The path behind, wounds suffered, lessons learned. The path ahead, space for growth and discovery. obstacles, and then a potential windfall, overcoming all to reach the destination. Billy pulls a card as the magician. You have enormous potential and the ability to turn all your goals into reality. Another sword shoots down. What's missing? Reunion. Another sword shoots down at Lilia as Agatha begins to go towards her, catching us up to the moment she was on top of her, protecting her from the fallen sword.
Yeah, Jen's costume is amazing. I love it. I love the
I loved it.
freckles. I love her wig. I love just like how over it she is.
I feel like at this point they're like, okay, we're in another fucking costume.
Like they both got characters. It's a fun dichotomy of Agatha and Teen getting costumes they really enjoyed, and then
Mhm.
Lilia and Jen getting ones that they despise. Like
Yeah,
Lilia is so angry that she is Glinda the Good Witch.
yeah.
Um, it's
I
very
love the
funny.
line, we can be culturally offended later.
hmm Too bad Lilia didn't have a bubble to save her. Too
Yeah,
soon.
too soon.
That's gonna get me in trouble.
Um, so I really like that first everyone thinks it's Billy. I don't know why Billy thought he's the one who should be answering the questions, I guess. Like, isn't it just all about a gay trying to make it all about themselves, you know?
Yeah, that's the main character energy right there. Straight
But
up.
I do like that the question was, am I William or am I Billy? Because that really gives, back to, before where he was saying she's not my mom. Again, this is kind of like a new character. It's a mixing of both. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have he doesn't have William's memories, but he knows William's life. He's in William's body.
Mm-hmm.
It is Billy's soul, I guess, that traveled into William's body. But this is a whole new character, which is again very much like the comic books, where it's like it's just another kid. You're just a reincarnated son of a very powerful witch who happens to have immense power as well.
Yeah, he goes by Billy Kaplan in the
In the
comics,
books,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that that stays true in the future.
Because that's who his family is.
Yeah,
He doesn't consider himself a Maximoff. He got what 2, 3 days with his mom.
yeah,
Like that's how much time I feel like we got in WandaVision. Although it's really hard to say like what was happening in WandaVision compared to everything else, like the outside
right.
world, like the timeline. Um,
Well, granted, for the kids, it was probably not 2, 3 days, right? For the kids, it was probably a lifetime of memories because we don't know how much or what was put into their heads. I do also like the line where he says earlier in the episodes where he says, I have a mom. So he considers the Kaplans his parents.
yeah, he's been with them for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to go
Um,
back. I like that to the previous episode. I don't think I said it. I like how much his parents were just like, "You want to come watch a horror movie with us?" Like, good parents, fun parents, A+.
yeah, and they invited the boyfriend. Or
Mm-hmm.
they were asking where the boyfriend was. Yeah, good parents.
Good parents, except their
Um,
driving skills.
yeah, of course.
Rip.
Rip. Do you like the explanation that Lilia gave to putting the sigil on him?
No,
Yeah,
because
I thought
like
you wouldn't.
I just don't buy her reasoning at all. Like, I'm in the boat. Like, if you see the person that in front of you is about to die, you should be doing what you can to save that person and not letting them go. Because you're just like accepting that that person's gonna die. Like, I'm not saying Lilia needs to be a hero or anything, but it makes me question her judgment and it it forces big stakes on Billy. Like, they are setting up that this had to happen. William had to die, and Billy had to take over his body because there is some bigger purpose, what he was going to become thing. I don't know. She could have stopped it, but I also respect that she wanted to allow Billy to grow into the person he became without having the baggage of who he was, both as William and as Billy in the Hex.
I think that it kind of speaks to her character because if you remember, she had mentioned that she used to warn people about things and they would drive her out of town and she was, outcasted and chased with pitchforks and stuff like that. So even she mentions it even in this episode, it's better to be a hermit. I think it speaks to her character to not want to meddle too much. So I think she became this character is like, fine, I'll warn you in a bit, or I'll try to protect you in this very small way, but I'm not getting involved.
Yeah. I think she
Yeah.
could have just told them, say, hey, come here, come here, come here. Don't
Hey,
get in
you're
your
gonna
car.
die
Like,
in a car crash today.
no, she
Don't
doesn't
get
have to
into the car.
say what's happening. She could just stall them for like another 30 seconds so they aren't at the moment on the road when the other car is heading towards them. Like, it's literally, that's all I needed, is just to like an attempt to save him instead of just letting
But I
him
don't think
die.
she could prevent it.
I think you could have. I think
I
it's a
think she
very
saw
like,
that it was destined to happen.
now, if we get into like a time bubble where William just relives his bar mitzvah day over and over again, Groundhog, and he dies in any specific way, but it has to happen that way, yes, I'll give you that.
Mm,
But we just saw one instance of how he's gonna die. It's not like,
hmm
I don't know if that's, I mean, we got rid of the sacred timeline, but I don't know if that is like a canon event that has to happen.
Well, I think that she obviously saw that he was the son of the Scarlet Witch because what her telling Jen that we don't get that information for her
Hmm.
from anywhere else. So she had to have known that from the vision, right?
We don't know
So
what.
maybe she just had to put the sigil because she's like, I'm not gonna mess with this witch's kid. I'm not gonna do much more than this. But then
Hmm.
again, you know, I think Wanda would have come after her if she would have found out that she put the seal. Like, thank God Wanda's dead because she would have
Oh my
killed her.
gosh. I think they could have shown with this flashback, with us cutting back later in the episode to that reading, I think it would have been fun to see what she saw, especially with how short of time this episode was. Like, if we got a hint, because it's kind of the same thing with like Deadpool. Deadpool and Wolverine, you see a hint at what could happen in the future on the TVA screens, and it would have been fun to see like a very hint of maybe Billy's importance to Doomsday or Secret Wars.
I
Um,
think it's too. I think it's too soon to see this.
I just want like a frame. Give me like I don't know, just for so I understand why. I don't know. Lily felt like it had to happen the way it did.
Hmm.
Like what she saw, what made that judgment call for her. I don't know. I think they could have given us more. It's too short of an episode again, I'll say. But like it's perfect. Like it's hard to I don't know. It's a great episode, but I wish it was longer.
What do you think of the Maestra asking her all those questions? Do you have a coven? I think the most important one was, do you have a coven? And Lilia saying, why? What's the point? Like,
Yeah, I think the Maester character is there as the person pushing the theme of the episode
Hmm.
of like Lilia finding togetherness, finding her coven, figuring out who she is and what she's missing. If that character was not in the episode, there wouldn't be anyone pushing Lilia to think about those things. Um, but overall, I just like I don't know. I'm pretty neutral on the Maester character as a whole.
I really like the Maester character because she was a very strong-willed lady.
Mm-hmm.
She was very no nonsense. Um, but you could tell that she really cared about Lilia, and she knew her magic. I mean, her performance gave us a lot because she's like she recognized that Lilia was no longer younger Lilia, that she was visiting, as she put it. Um, and she knew that she was there to guide her
Mm-hmm.
to whatever the next step of her life was going to be. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that character.
How do you feel about tarot the way that the characters are discussing tarot? Like, Agatha feels like it's very subjective. Teen kind of buys into it, but he doesn't have, like, the mastery of it yet. And then Lilia is full on. There is, like, a science, there is a purpose to every single thing that has to be said and the way things are done. Um, how do you feel about that? And, like, what do you perceive tarot as?
I feel like I'm Jen in that situation where Jen was like, no, no, like, yeah, like she was like disagreeing with some, agreeing with the others, and then when Lilia gets her right, see, Lilia knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know anything about tarot, but I do like that we got the different kind of perspectives of how people think, how people view it. Yeah,
I agree.
I like it.
Yeah, they did a good job. I loved that they explained the rules of the table in a
Mhm.
very specific manner, and I felt like they explored that in a really good way. Unlike the Ouija board. Um,
The rules of the witch board.
yeah, I just think like they did a much better job of like explaining and using the MacGuffin of the episode, unlike previously. Because I think they did everything they could have with the tarot. Um, and
Yeah, it was
everything.
explained beautifully, the safe passage spread, as she calls it. How she quickly tells us what every space on the table means.
Hmm.
It was a good setup for the end, and it was a good way to kind of introduce us to the reading itself
Hmm.
by starting to read for Billy. I like that he pulls the magician card, and the line of you have the ability to turn all your goals into reality. Again, linking him to the reality magic
Hmm.
that he has and that kind of Wanda has as well.
Yeah, it's good cards. I hope they give us an Agatha. Like I think someone on their own made it, but it would be fun if Disney made an official Agatha All Along tarot set.
Mm.
I would get it. I'd shell out my money.
Yeah, I think I would too. And what's missing for Billy is the reunion. Um, we're meant to understand that that's the reunion between him and Tommy, but who knows?
Well, it's very specific because it was the Sun card that was pulled,
Hmm.
so I think it has to be Tommy.
Yeah,
Um,
but the trial, but the trial thinks that they're wrong. You know, that's that's not
well,
what you should be reading for. And then,
yes. I think eh, for what Billy was being pulled out, it was true for Billy, but the trial
oh
is
yeah,
very specifically for Lilia. So because they weren't even doing Lilia, it was wrong anyways.
yeah.
So like it doesn't mean the card. itself was wrong and what it means.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, ready for this last part?
Yeah, go for it.
Back with another flash jump to her lesson with the maestra. What am I missing? Asks Lilia. Exactly, the teacher explains. Why are you on this journey? To get my power back. Is it gone? Where did it go? That's not the true reason. Lily is a forgotten woman. Then remember yourself, says the maestra. What's worth remembering? That her entire coven died, including her maestra? The maestra then says the words we've heard Lilia say before. Death comes for us all. Lilia's truth is revealed, and she asks, when will it come for me? Revealing her uncertainty and possible fear of death. She then realizes, I was falling. I will fall. Another mind jump to the moment she wakes from the initial fall into the tunnel, and she wakes Jen up explaining that the son of the Scarlet Witch telepathically kicked them off the road. They sank, and now they're in the tunnels. Agatha and Billy are in the divinity trial, and she has to find them. She excitedly exclaims that all the gaps are finally filling in for her. They then notice two paths, one leading to more tunnels and another leading off the witch's road. Just then, they hide as they see the Salem Seven pass by them looking for Agatha. Lilia tells Jen that she must find Billy and Agatha, and she hopes Jen will join her. Because you are my sister in the craft, she tells her, as they have a very genuine moment. I know what I did wrong, she says, as she jumps into the present, revealing that she shouldn't have been reading the tarot for Billy, but instead for herself. She is a traveler. She begins to reveal the cards. The Traveler, the Queen of Cups. We see her maestra telling her, now you see. Empathetic, intuitive, inner voice to be trusted. No swords fall. She's on the right track. The ceiling continues to lower. What's missing? The Three of Pentacles. Collaboration, community. She needed her coven. The path behind. The Knight of Wands. Alice, full of fire, fights bravely. The path ahead. High Priestess. Jen, immense spiritual power, unwilling or unable to use it. Obstacles. Three of Swords. Heartbreak, sorrow, grief. As we see Agatha crying over Billy's body. The Windfall. The Tower reversed. Billy, a miraculous transformation. And finally, the destination. We jump into Lilia's first fall into the tunnel. A figure starts to come into the light from the dark. Who is that? Lilia asks. A familiar voice. Don't you recognize me, Lilia? We see flashbacks. Rio coming out of the ground. Rio telling Agatha, you get your power, I get my bodies. The Ouija board. Who is here with us tonight? Death. As Rio laughs maniacally. Rio's voice, in the end, all roads lead to me. As the figures revealed to be Rio in Death's clothes, Rio is Death. She reveals the Death card on the table. The trial has been passed, and the ceiling starts to rise as an Iron Maiden opens to reveal the exit. What happened? Asked Billy. Rio, she's Death, the original Green Witch, Lilia tells the group as they look at Agatha to confirm, which she does by saying, what can I say? I like the bad boys. Just then they hear the seven closing in. Lilia rushes them out of the trial towards the Iron Maiden doors. Agatha first, of course. When she calls you a coward, hit the deck, Lilia tells a confused Agatha. Billy second gets his book back from Lilia. Jen refusing to go before Lilia as Lilia shoves her in, telling her she's the path ahead. As she's closing the Iron Maiden doors, staying behind, she says her final words to Jen. I loved being a witch. Closing the doors and staying in the trial as the others continue the road. Lilia, now without her coven in the trial room, sees the seven as their animal versions start to come out and close in on her. Defiantly and strong-willed, she begins to tell the seven, you might not know this about the road, but when you successfully complete a trial, like I just did, it's not a good idea to overstay your welcome. usually means something terrible happens. Meanwhile, the seven morph into their human bodies and stand before her. She continues, disaster, destruction, sudden upheaval, like the tower upright. She flips the card upright on the table, and the room flips upside down as the seven begin to fall towards the swords in slow motion. She holds onto the table. Finally, her hand gives, and she begins to slowly fall towards the swords. Then the screen turns black, and we see a young Lilia with her maestra, back in her first lesson to begin anew.
It's like a
Yeah.
really good episode. Like, it's a really amazing third act of putting
Mhm.
a very intense situation that these characters are having to survive. And it is fun to see a character who has been struggling, figuring out what's wrong, how to harness it correctly, and just succeed in what they're supposed to be doing. Like, it is so thrilling. Lilia bringing out all the tarot cards and you seeing everything she said in previous episodes. And I don't know if these are like how tarot cards are supposed to be, like every single deck is the same names. Um, but it was like if I did, I would have been fun to like pick up on them more.
Mhm.
But I really loved it in general, and it was amazing, incredible. While you were doing the recap, I went through the episode. She is doing like the stop, stop, stop stuff right
Mhm.
after the first confrontation with Teen, when she's still like mad at him.
Oh, that was earlier.
Hmm. Yeah, because it also intercuts with her saying stop, stop, stop. When Teen and Agatha first arrive at her home.
Mhm.
But yeah, sorry to like interject that, but
No,
hmm I don't know. It's a really good ending to the episode. It sucks what happens because like she didn't have to, and I don't know if it completely solved the problem of the Salem Seven.
mhm.
Because I think two of them are still alive,
Mhm.
but I enjoyed it anyways. Like, it
I
was
like,
devastating.
yeah, this was an amazing ending. It was a great episode, a great performance by Patty LuPone. Um, I like that Lilia finally, with the help of her maestra, she's finally okay with what's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's all because she finally made sense of what's been happening to her entire life,
Yeah.
right? So because of that, she understands her purpose, and she understands why the end needs to happen the way it happens. I like that genuine moment that she has with Jen, because you are my sister in the craft. Again, Jen and Lilia have this really kind of, all three of them did. Alice, Jen, and Lilia had this really, you know, immediate draw to each other. But I
Mm-hmm.
think this really shows us how much they really cared for each other in such a short period of time for them.
Mm-hmm. Like, this really paid off the end of episode 3 of them like coming together, which I really liked. No, it was the end of episode 4, the one you don't like. I don't know. It's just it. There was a lot of payoff. Like, the show is doing a really good job at finishing mysteries it's bringing up in a very episodic way, and we're in the end game now. I don't think there's anything left that the show has to reveal to us outside of like characters' past or anything. I think the introduction of Rio as Death was fine, but it was a little anticlimactic.
Hmm.
Like,
I agree.
I know Agatha's known this whole time, um, but for Lilia to be the character's POV that we learn who Death is, um, it was okay. I love the costume though. Death looks so good.
I wish we would have seen it. I understand you're supposed to be death, it's supposed to be dark, but I wish we would have seen a little bit more of the details.
I think we'll get it because she's coming out of
Yeah.
the shadows and like the underground is not really well lit.
Mhm.
So like I
No, I
fully
agree. I
yeah.
just really want to see it.
I think we'll see more for sure. They made a pop
So,
figure about it, so like it's got to be more.
so she realizes that she needs to be reading the cards for herself. I like the cards that she drew too. Um, and the way she read them, the Queen of Cups and what each of them meant.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because that's what I want to know. Are these normal cards that they then wrote a television show and these characters to match those things?
mhm.
Or are these cards that they made up to fit
I
the
feel like
narrative
I've
that they wanted to
seen some of
say?
the. I feel like I've definitely seen some of those cards.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure some of them are real.
If they're real and they did like the writing, is this good? Great job. Like
Hmm.
good stuff.
Yeah. The final destination is death.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the real reveal, like you said, it wasn't I don't know. It was good. And the
Yeah.
costume was good.
I felt like there just wasn't enough like setup in the episode. Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. I don't know. Like the episode doesn't change. I think what characters know now and then what Lilia tells them on their way out. Um with Agatha learning like when she calls you, I think it's a coward to
A
duck.
coward.
Is that the line?
Hmm.
Um
Hit the
Teen
deck
gets his book back, which somehow Lilia found in their
because of
tunnel.
magic.
My eyes rolled. And then she tells Jen that she's like the future, which makes me really hope Jen survives. Because if Jen can come out of this,
I've been
um,
rooting for Jen to survive forever. Like, just keep Jen alive.
hmm so Sheer Zamata is great, and Jen is like out of Agatha and Teen, the most well-known Marvel character. Like the only other one is Alice, but she's like here for like one book.
Hmm.
Jen is a well-known witch in the Marvel comics, so I hope we would
I
get
mean,
more
she
from
was
her.
she was here for like one episode, so it fits.
Jen?
Alice, stupid.
Oh. Alice was here for 3 episodes, mind you. No, 4. She was here for 4 episodes. No, because we also she's been here 5 of 7
Was
episodes.
she though?
Yes.
I guess.
Get out with
Um.
the hate.
Then they're all running towards the Iron Maiden. Jen not wanting to go before Lilia
Hmm
again speaks volumes to their relationship.
Yeah, for an episode that's not about Jen, the writers
Yeah.
did a really good job of furthering her character arc to being like a good
Hmm.
person.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm
Um, the line broke me. Petalipone's delivery and her acting just broke me. I loved being a witch. And she's closing the doors. That
hmm
was such an emotional moment. The way she said that line, Jen's kind of scream like no as the doors are closing on her. Like
hmm
A plus performance, honestly.
I wish those were her last words instead of the very cheesy monologue tower reversed right before she dies thing. Like
It's very Petalapone though to be like
yeah, she took
fuck
full
you,
advantage.
motherfucker. Like,
Hmm
absolutely.
Yeah, but I was being witch, just like the weight of that I think would have been because I mean for the characters that's the last thing they know Patty like Lilia said, but
Hmm.
for me as the
Right, right.
audience, hmm
No, right. I mean, I think it was a very fitting last line for the characters,
hmm
for her friends. And I think it was a very fitting last monologue for your enemy.
Why do you think Lilia was Glinda?
I mean, it back to like her reading. She's the Queen of Cups. The reading was she's the Queen of Cups, empathetic, um, what was it? Empathetic, intuitive, inner voice to be trusted. I mean, she's exemplifying what a good witch is. I think that's why the trial chose for her to be Glinda. I
Yeah,
don't know
but
how much of that do
Glinda's
we
not those
really.
things. I feel like
Is I
there's
don't
got to
know
be
the
intention.
image. I guess I don't know. I don't know much about Wizard of Oz either. Sorry.
Well, I'm going more Wicked, to be honest.
Oh,
Over.
I've never experienced Wicked.
Yeah, the book is great. I highly recommend the book.
Hmm.
The book is dark. It is a good time, and the musical's good. I like the musical. I'm very excited for the movie. Um, so it was very funny that this and Wicked will be coming out within a month of each other. But
Yeah. So
I,
the room flips,
yeah,
and she's hanging off that table, and everyone is falling into the swords. You're
mostly
right.
everyone.
We only see five.
We see
Where are
five,
the
and
other
then
two?
there's feathers that fall down. So I think the other two, the cockroach and the crow,
Yeah,
shapeshifted into their animal forms. But then if there's 2 out of 7, are they really, like, a formidable foe? Do they matter? Are they gonna align with death to try to take Agatha down? Um, I don't know.
yeah. I
If you only
am
get
very curious. I'm very curious to see how that part plays out.
Do you think it was worth it if she only got 5 of 7?
I think so.
Mhm.
I I mean, because they're a hive mind. It's kind of like the Stepford Cuckoos. You know, you take one out,
What's
it
your reference?
hinders them. The Stepford Cuckoos.
Yeah.
Um, um, the Stepford Cuckoos are the sisters who are mutants, who are usually following Emma Frost.
Okay.
They're psychics,
Mhm.
and they're telepathically hive mind linked, and they all kind of amplify each other's power.
Gotcha.
Because it was explained earlier that they are a hive coven, and the way they've kind of been moving feels very like a hive mind.
Mhm.
Don't know how much of that is really going to be used, but
Yeah.
I do think that knocking five of them is going to severely hinder them. Um, Probably not by a ton, but
I don't know. I think it's all or nothing. I just want more Lilia. Like, man. I'm glad it's a show though. Like, I'm glad this is not a movie and that you
mhm,
get it's just one time. I'm glad we've got this like weekly time spent with Lilia. And I'm glad we're not binging the show. Oh my gosh. I would
me
hate to
too.
binge the show on my first watch.
Hmm. I agree. Do you think so? We see Lilia falling, but we do not see her fall onto the swords. Do you think that there's theories that Lilia goes back to because the last thing that we see is her with her maestra as her younger self? Do we think that Lilia's mind traveled back into her younger body
I
before
think
she died?
I think she's dead. I just think that was closing the loop.
Yeah, there's
Or
a lot of
just
people
like,
who are thinking she's kind of reborn. She's going to keep living her life in her younger body,
uh-huh. I think it's a
but
Tenet situation.
I haven't seen Tenet,
Okay.
but I agree with I think it's closing the loop.
Yeah.
I think that I don't think in my head I don't want to think that Lilia felt any pain falling down. I do think that she probably kind of let her mind go elsewhere and then she dies without kind of feeling any kind of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I do think it's closing the loop. I think it brings us back to the first moment where she got to experience the being out of time with
Yeah.
her younger self.
Mm-hmm. I just think from like a narrative perspective, um, it is a much more hopeful ending to see a young Lilia run towards the table instead of older Lilia crashing onto the swords. Because that would have been
Oh
such like
yeah.
a dire cut to credits.
Absolutely.
But no, I think Lilia is actually dead. I don't think that sacrifice, if that's undone, um, like if so, my theory is next episode is going to be about Rio and Agatha, and it's going to be another flashback heavy episode. And then I think episode 9, we're going to be in Death's Morgue or something like that. And I think there's a possibility of Alice. Um, I think that characters that did not choose to die will be able to come back. So I think Lilia is going to come on because that was a sacrifice, but I think Alice and Sharon will come back. Or we'll see their bodies. I think we're going to see their bodies. Whether they come back alive, I'm not so sure. But I do think there's going to be like a let's go through what you've done. Like, here's the consequences of like your trials and everything. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Like, what was the question again?
There was no question. You were
Oh my
just going
gosh.
on
How did I go
your
on?
prediction. You were going on your predictions. Yeah, I mean,
How did I get there?
we uh we have 2 more episodes. Hopefully they will
Hmm.
be hour-long episodes, but
I don't
who
think they
knows?
will.
Yeah, I don't think they will either.
I think episode 8 should be longer. Like, if this is episode 8 is like a 45-minute long episode,
Mhm.
excellent. And then if episode 9 is shorter, that's okay. Because, like, the penultimate episode needs to, like, get us to the climax of the series. And then
Mhm.
you can just have the last episode be the climax and resolution. And that
Yeah.
doesn't need to be very long. Like, if there's a big fight, I don't need a 40-minute long fight.
Yeah, no. But I agree. I think we're going to get to see definitely Rio's backstory, more of Agatha's backstory. I don't know. Other than that, I honestly don't know what to expect. I don't know how much more we're going to get of Billy's story. I don't think that Billy is going to get what he's after. I think
No.
he's going to get something different.
I
It
think
would
it's
be
going to be.
nice to see something, but I don't think we're going to get it. I think Tommy's going to be alive, but I don't think that he's going to get Tommy at the end of this trial. At the
It's
end
hard
of
to
the road.
say.
I think Billy survives, and I think Jen survives, and I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think Agatha is surviving this one.
Hmm.
I think my prediction is we're going to get 2 post-credit scenes. Like it's a full-on movie. I would like to see something where I think Agatha's going to die, but I think there might be, I don't know, we see the locket or something glowing or something. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something where if they were ever in need of her services again, they could summon her in some way.
Hmm.
And I do think, or at least my big hope is that we're going to get some sort of scene where maybe Kamala is recruiting Billy. I am Ion Source on Instagram and Twitch. And you can find us at the Bear Watch Project on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.